Hey, it's a pizza party right out of the garden coming up right after this. You cannot believe all the tomatoes coming out of the garden just now. Hey, it's high summer. We've got the outdoor oven fired up, ready for pizza, and we're gonna have a pizza party. Hi, I'm Alan Smith. Welcome to Garden to Table, where we talk about all this fresh stuff that comes out of the garden and some delicious dishes that you can create at home. On today's show, I'm gonna show you how to make this beautiful and delicious salad, a pizza crust that is absolutely exceptional, plus a refreshing dessert that the guests at your next party will love. I'm also going to show you how to put together this handsome tablescape. This oven is some kind of hot, so let's get these tomatoes in the kitchen and get started. You know, it is actually a lot of fun getting ready for guests to come to the house. You know, there's something about fresh tomatoes. I just wish you could smell the sweet aroma of these. They're just delicious. Tomatoes do capture our imagination. They reckon that out of all gardeners in the country, 90% of them are growing tomatoes. They're very popular. Now I grow lots of different things here at the farm and lots of tomatoes, so why don't we run up to the big acre garden and take a look. You know, there's so many different varieties of tomatoes to choose from. We plant about 50 different varieties here at the farm for many different reasons. And you see, that's because you use different tomatoes for different things. For instance, there are those great big ones for slicing, which are so good on sandwiches. And then there are paste tomatoes that are great for sauces and so forth. And then there are the little cherry tomatoes, which are perfect for salads. Now, while there are lots of different types of tomatoes for us to choose from, heirlooms and hybrids, all with their own unique flavor, there are two broad categories, and that's determinate and indeterminate. And this is an example of a determinate tomato, meaning that it only grows to a determined size. This one is Celebrity, and if you'll look on a label, you'll actually see the word determinate or indeterminate on the label, so you'll have an idea of what you're purchasing. Now, the reason this is important information is it gives you an idea of exactly how large that tomato is going to be. So let's say you choose a variety that grows in the 2 to 4 foot range and has compact habit. Then you've got one that's perfect for growing in containers, or if you're going to grow them in a garden with limited space. And then you have the indeterminate types of tomatoes. This is where the tomato gets the phrase vine, tomato vines, because they grow to an indeterminate length. Now, this variety is an heirloom variety called Black Krim. And what's great about indeterminates is they keep putting on new growth at the ends. And you can see this one is producing lots of tomatoes here on this end of the vine. But you will need more room if you want to grow indeterminate, so plan for it. I'm growing them on this woven wire fence. You know, with all this talk of tomatoes, I'm getting hungry. Let's get back to the kitchen. I've got a salad to finish. Of course, this is the season of the tomato, and I'm going to show you this very simple Greek tomato salad. Now, what I've done is I've taken 5 tomatoes about this size, really large round tomatoes, and I've covered this entire platter with them. I'll pull this up a little closer so you can see. And I've just sliced them. And now I'm going to add just a few basic ingredients. I took a small red onion, about a medium size maybe. Just going to add some of this to the top. This is so easy. And then about 4 ounces of feta cheese on top like this. Feta cheese crumbles. Doesn't that look good? And then a full cup of Kalamata olives like this. Kind of pile those in the center. And then kind of salt and pepper to taste. I really like plenty of pepper. Just a little bit of salt here. About a half a teaspoon of salt. And then for the dressing, what I'm going to do is take tablespoon balsamic vinegar, and 1/4 cup of olive oil. Whisk that together and then drizzle it all over the top. Like that. And then to finish it off, I just want to take some of this flat leaf Italian parsley. It doesn't take much, probably a tablespoon of chopped parsley. It's a little touch of green and a nice fresh flavor. Now, this ought to be really good with what's coming out of that wood fire oven. A friend of mine, John Beachboard, is a chef at a local pizzeria, and he's just outside making sure the oven is hot enough. So why don't I take this apron off and head on out? So John, how do we do? I mean, you came out here and you gave me a little tutorial about getting this oven fired up. Is it hot enough?
That's fantastic, yeah. You can use our little digital infrared thermometer.
Now what is this?
It's a point and shoot. It tells you exactly how hot it is in that oven.
You're kidding.
Yeah, point it right there. You'll see a little red dot.
700, wow.
You got it hot enough. You got it hot enough.
Oh my gosh. Got a little bit of cured wood, but a little bit of green thrown in there really fires it up once it's hot.
Yeah, absolutely. That green will burn a little longer.
So let's talk about a pizza for a minute, because you know, you guys do a great job throwing the pizza in here. I mean, I haven't seen it in this oven, so this is a great inauguration. Tell me a little bit about how long they will stay in there and how big they are going to be.
Anywhere from 12 to 14 inches. You know, a wood oven will cook great at 500 degrees. Some will cook great at 800, some will cook great at 900. But probably they're going to be in there. We're going to have the oven to probably 770. They're going to be 12 to 14 inches, and we're probably going to be cooking them in about 90 seconds.
90 seconds? Yeah. Now, okay, I got to ask you something. I don't want to reveal any trade secrets, and I love the way you put flavors together, but I have to say it's the pizza crust that keeps me going back to Zaza. Can I send my film crew over and you show how to make the dough?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we just opened the doors at Zaza. We're going to show you how we make our pizza dough. It's the easiest thing in the world. It involves really good, high quality flour. We got 2 cups Tipo 00 flour. You use Tipo 00, you're going to have perfect pizza every single time. On one side of the bowl, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of yeast. And on the other side of the bowl, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt, so the salt doesn't get in and try and kill the yeast. And the only secret to making a really good dough, adding the water slowly. So I'm just going to barely start mixing everything in and just add a little bit of water. I've got 3/4 cups water. Just putting it in wherever it's looking dry, around the edges. Just slowly adding the water. We're gonna let this mix for about 5 minutes. We're gonna turn it off, and then we're going to cover it with a towel, leave it alone for about an hour. It's gonna double in size. What you're gonna come up with out of this small recipe is a dough ball about this size. It's already gonna be nice and formed in the bottom of the bowl. I've got a little flour left over from my bowl. At this point, all you gotta do is just gently press the dough with your hands, and from there, the only secret to rolling it to making a really nice pizza crust is letting gravity do the work. Don't try and toss it around, don't try and throw it. Just let it, you know, in your fingertips. Just let gravity pull the dough down from your fingers. We're not throwing it all over the place, acting crazy. And then I can stretch it out with my hands at this point just a little bit, still just letting it fall in my hands. I've got a pizza peel. I'm going to dust it with a little bit of my flour still from that bowl. Just left over in that bowl. And that is pizza crust.
Okay, now that you've got your pizza dough ready, it's time for some toppings. These days, just about anything goes on a pizza. I wish you could smell the aroma out here. This basil is just incredible this time of year. The warmer the temperatures, the more aromatic this plant seems to be. You know, basil's one of the easiest herbs you can grow. You can see I grow a lot of it. It's sort of an outrageous row of it, but we use a lot of it here at the farm. And what I like about basil is that it continues to produce. The more you cut it, the more it will put out these very fragrant and tasty leaves. Now, if you look closely, you'll see that these plants are already producing a flower spike. Well, I like to keep those cut off. They are beautiful, but it's really not necessary if you want to keep producing lots of basil. So I recommend keeping it cut back. But I'll tell you this, one of the things that I like to do to bring basil in the kitchen because it's so fragrant is I like to cut a bouquet just as you would flowers. And I just go along like this and gather 6 or 7 stems. And the way to keep it is not in the refrigerator because it doesn't like cold. You see, as soon as temperatures out in the garden begin to drop, the basil leaves will begin to show some browning and they'll begin to curl. So they really do like warm climates. So what I like to do is place these in glass jars or some glass vases and set them around the kitchen. Not only are they beautiful, they're very useful and fragrant. Boy, the aroma is really unbelievable. There are a lot of different varieties of basil. This is the traditional sweet basil, probably the most popular of all the basils, but I also grow a little miniature one called Spicy Globe. Then there's a blue African that has incredibly beautiful flowers. I actually grow it in the flower garden. And then there's purple basil, which is also grown as an ornamental and can be used in the kitchen. Now, when you plant basil, you can plant it from seed, but you want to make sure that the soil is really warm. I plant from seed and from plants. It's much easier to grow from plants that you can pick up at the garden center. And what I like to do is I like to plant successive plantings of basil. So about every 4 weeks, I'll start another row of it so that I have it right up until the first frost. Okay, now I want to take you over here on the other side of the garden and show you another herb that is great at all kinds of cooking and certainly on pizzas. Come on. Now take a look at this classic. This is flat leaf Italian parsley. It's such a beautiful plant, don't you think? Now, what is great about it is it's one of the first herbs that I can plant in the garden because it actually likes cool weather. And I don't plant it from seed. I usually start with the little plants and row it out. But just look how large a plant just one plant makes. And the way you want to harvest it is you want to take the outer stems first, like this. And just go around the outer edge. And if you do this, you continue to have more parsley produced out of the center. You see, like with most herbs, the more you harvest them, the more they continue to produce. You know, this garden really is quite large. In fact, we call it the 1-acre vegetable garden. And we grow all kinds of things here, not only herbs, but tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, blackberries, raspberries, and even sweet potatoes. Now, most of us don't have room or really the inclination to grow sweet potatoes. It takes a lot of space. But you know, if you want to grow some herbs, you don't have to have much room at all. Let me show you what I mean. Come on, let's go to the summer kitchen. Okay, now take a look at this space, much smaller, no doubt. From the post here back to the house, well, you have 8 feet, and the length here, 15 feet. Now, we all have small areas like this, and we probably pass by them every day and go, you know, that's so small, you really can't do much in a space of this size. Well, you really can. Actually, I have about 24 containers planted around here with all sorts of things, everything from roses to herbs. I even have blueberries and strawberries and a container with arugula. And then, of course, what's summer without having a big container of mint for all those delicious drinks? Well, there's just nothing quite like the aroma of mint. It's good. Okay, now let's get back to this idea of space and size. So we've talked about an acre garden, we've talked about this space, which is 8 by 15, and now we're going to even shrink it down a little bit and talk about planting some elements that can go in a pizza in a container that's a 22-inch diameter clay pot, and that's what we have right here. Okay, last week I got this started with this Roma tomato, and what I did is I put a bamboo tripod over it and just wrapped some twine to help give it a little support. It's also kind of decorative. And I've started with a rosemary plant. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some parsley and some oregano. Okay, I'm going to start by planting some of this parsley. I like starting with little plants, and in these biodegradable pots, all you have to do is place the container in like that. And I like flat leaf Italian parsley to cook with. The curly leaf is good as well, but I use it for more decorative purposes. So there's some flat leaf Italian parsley, and then over here I'm just making some space for an oregano. And what I love about oregano is that it spills over the edge of the container, so it makes it even more decorative and more attractive to look at. All right, so as you can see, what I have here are 4 plants in this container. They'll get along just fine, but there's some things you need to remember. You want to make sure that this container gets plenty of sun, at least 6 hours of sun a day. And you want to make sure that the soil remains consistently moist. And by using a saucer, that will help you achieve that goal. And the third thing you need to remember is that you're going to have to feed these plants. You've got so many things going on in one container. Regular feeding, a dilute solution every time you water of an all-purpose liquid fertilizer makes a lot of sense. You know, what I love about a setup like this is that it's so close to the kitchen. So you walk in and out, you smell these amazing aromas, and you can cut whatever you need. It's very, very handy. I have to say that this time of year, the Terrace Garden down here on the west end is one of my favorite places to hang out. There's so much visual interest between all the herbs and the flowers and the textures and the colors. And sometimes those plants combine. For instance, this one in front of me is a lovely sage called pineapple sage, and it has a red flower and a golden leaf. Its name is Golden Delicious. And if you rub the leaf, it has the distinct aroma of pineapple. So what you get here is beautiful foliage as well as a beautiful flower. Another combination in a single plant is the cinnamon basil. It has a beautiful clean green leaf, but a dark purple spike. It looks so good against that burgundy colored coleus. And then 2 plants that just seem to work so well together is dipped wine coleus with purple fountain grass. Those are just a few of the combinations out here. They just are endless. What happens in the spring is I just get out here and start planting lots of different things together. Some are calculated, and then others just happen, and it's kind of fun to observe them through the growing season. You know, this is a very old-fashioned garden. It's a long terrace with beds on each side, and in these big beds are individual raised beds. And through the middle is this lawn, so it gives you an opportunity to step back and look at some of the floral compositions. I just love all of this lantana, for instance, in the center of this space. About a month ago, you could literally walk between the raised beds, and now it's all grown together. You know, I like to get the most out of everything, and that includes plants. Why don't we take a look at some creative and decorative ways that you can use plants before you actually get them planted into the garden? Come on. Well, I'm a little concerned by some of these dark clouds rolling in, but hey, it wouldn't dare rain on us. This looks too good for rain. Well, let's talk a minute about tablescaping. It's sort of the dining equivalent to landscaping. We just put all the plants on the table and you create a little garden. So you can see this is very festive for a summer pizza party. Now, what I want to say about it is that there are just a few things that I think could be helpful to you. First of all, you want to make sure that the plants that you use tend to be low so that when you have wind, like we're having now, they don't topple over. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is color. What I did here is that I started with the placemats. I said, okay, let's take a really fun placemat and let's run with that and echo the colors in that striped placemat in all the other things that are on the table. Everything from the browns and taupes that you see in the table and the napkins to the reds, oranges, and yellows and greens that you see in the plants that I've lined the center of the table with. Now, some of the plants that you'll see here, well, they're old favorites of mine, and you probably know many of them, such as the lantana, this purple fountain grass, and that beautiful little bat-faced kufia called Totally Tempted, which I love, as well as some tomatoes that we've thrown in here, which really say, hey, it's summer. And what's better than pizza? Tomatoes. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Don't forget about the coleus. It's a great foliage plant, and this particular variety echoes all the colors all the way down the table. Now, as you can see, I've added some other things that I had in the barn, some tools, grapevine, gives it that sort of rustic look. And hey, the great thing about using these potted plants is that you can take a color theme, run through your garden center, pick up whatever you need to match the colors, pot them up way ahead of time, and just place them on the table. And then I put them in a myriad of different containers. We have brown in the way of glazed containers, some galvanized, and some that are zinc. So it all fits this sort of rustic farm feel. What could be easier? And hey, when the sun hits them, it's just like they're sitting out at the nursery. They're used to it. Now the last little touch, I don't use candles out here because with this wind it blows them out, but you can use those little LED votives and line them up. So I'm going to go get them because guests are going to be arriving soon. So everybody find your place. I'm going to say grace and then we're going to sit down and eat.
Go ahead. All right, thank you very much. Wonderful.
These are the best tomatoes ever. They don't like.
Look at, I love this. I love this cake.
Everyone is having such a good time, but no meal is complete without a delicious recipe, particularly from the garden. This is strawberries as in from here, sorbeto. How about the recipe? Come on. Okay, now how about a delicious dessert, which would be perfect for an alfresco meal, particularly during the summer, because it's so cool and sweet. This is a strawberry sorbeto. Now, sorbeto is just Italian for sorbet, and it is so simple. All you really need is a blender, some ingredients, and a freezer, and you can pull this off. And the ingredients, well, they're very simple. You're going to start with strawberries. This recipe calls for 1 quart, and I've capped them and I've quartered them. And then it takes 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then what we like to do here is add some concentrated apple juice, frozen concentrated apple juice, 1 cup of it. All right, so I have the quart here and I just dump the strawberries in like this. This is so easy, and I love to grow strawberries. We grow several varieties here, Cardinals and Ozark Beauties. That's about 2 tablespoons. And then you just simply add the apple juice like this. Nice natural sweetener. And you want to puree this. After you puree it, you want to put it in a bowl and place it in the freezer for about 3 hours. And then take it out during the course of that 3 hours, about every 45 minutes, and dump it back in here and blend it again. Then let it freeze solid, take it out, let it rest for about 15 minutes out of the freezer, and then serve it. And you can make as much of this as you want. And what I recommend is you make a lot of it because you're going to love it. If you've never grown strawberries, it's a great pleasure to have them around. I grow them in beds and I actually use the strawberry plants as a ground cover under fruit trees, such as the big fig tree here at the farm. Strawberries grow beautifully in containers. I think they're a very decorative edible that can be placed next to other edibles in a patio setting, such as blueberries. Well, sadly, this is all the time we have, and I hope in today's show you've picked up a few elements that will make your next experience in the garden with family friends successful. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith. Good eating and good health.